Hi, and welcome to the Mattei Center for the Humanities here at Sacred Heart University. My name is Gregory Golda, and I teach in the School of Communication, Media, and the Arts here at Sacred Heart. And today we have a special program for you. You're live in the studio with us, and this is my CM 617 class, and we're doing a live television production, and it's a pilot. At the beginning of this module of 8 weeks, I sat down with the students and said, well, the class is about making a live production. What do you want to do? So we all contributed ideas and we redirected and thought about it, and then it came into focus. Future focus was the thing. We wanted to create stories that were relevant to us and would have an impact on the world around us. So we think we've done that, and we hope we've done that, and we are glad you're here to join us as we create this live in front of our wonderful studio audience. So thank you all for being here. And now, ladies and gentlemen, Future Focus. The time is now. Every day, decisions are being made that impact the delicate balance of life on this planet. We must learn from the past, be bold in the moment, and choose the proper path forward. This is Future Focus.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining Future Focus, brought to you by the Shoe Media Exchange. We have an eventful evening full of interviews, live presentations, and a touching tribute to the late Professor Jennifer Mattei planned for you. Our first story of the evening deals with the hot topic of AI. Development of artificial intelligences have long fascinated mankind. From the towering bronze ancient Greek statue Talos to the unstoppable time-traveling Terminators, fictional writers have toyed with the concept of man-made machines taking over aspects of human life and taking over their creators. Now, people are concerned that these narratives are becoming reality, thanks to rapid breakthroughs in the developments of AI. Is that right, Eric?
That's right, David. Artificial programs can already be found throughout our day-to-day lives, from car manufacturers to simple home assistant programs like Amazon's Echo or Apple's Siri. Despite these developments, people never felt threatened of losing their jobs from these rudimentary programs. That was until last year.
In 2022, several AI programs were introduced online with abilities to closely recreate human writing and speech patterns, answer common questions in simple conversational forms, and even create complex art depending on instructions given. For the first time, people are beginning to feel they're slowly being replaced by artificial constructs. With these new ChatGPT programs, students can seamlessly complete homework without complex thought, or write an essay without even understanding the theme they're submitting. Product companies are already utilizing Discord's Midjourney to generate art or models to use in marketing and promotion as a way to avoid paying for a real, professional artist. And these AI are still continuously being improved upon today. With such a sudden wrench to the writing and production worlds, many are concerned that the use of these new AI programs may go unchecked and interfere with other aspects of common life. States have already begun introducing AI algorithm programs to handle day-to-day government operations, to poor effect. In Indiana, the state implemented AIs to determine which residents were eligible for Medicaid coverage. This new system caused a woman to be denied treatment for cancer, and shortly after she was able to come in contact with a human employee to correct her Medicaid eligibility, she passed away from cancer. To try and get ahead of this rapid AI takeover, Connecticut lawmakers introduced a bill to regulate the state government's use of artificial intelligence and establish an Office of AI to protect citizens from possible dangers AIs may impose from their creators.
If we're learning and training these systems on what we're doing now, we know there are biases in our existing world, and it's just going to maintain, perpetuate, and amplify at some point those biases. So while there's a lot of promise, we do need to test and make sure that it's safe.
Connecticut State Senator James Maroney is one of the authors of the bill and one of the leading politicians addressing AI in the state. While the state Senate vote did not create an Office of AI in May, legislators plan to create a policy by February 2024 that would prevent any state system implementation of AI without first gaining approval from an impact assessment from the Department of Administrative Services.
We're not saying not to use these tools. They are tools. We're just saying, just like we test a car before it goes on the road or we test an airplane, they need to be tested, and the testing should be commensurate with the risk.
A state task force would also be formed to create a Connecticut AI Bill of Rights and regulations for private industry's utilization of AI. Meanwhile, Senator Richard Blumenthal warned residents of a massive outflow of AI-generated disinformation, especially through voice replicating programs.
Hi, it's me. I'm in trouble and I need money. The car broke down on 95 in New London. I don't know what's wrong with it, and the auto shops won't help me.
So actually, that's not my voice.
However, Senator Maroney notes that AI still can provide society with many benefits.
In healthcare, there's been AI that's been used to diagnose pancreatic cancer 3 years before doctors could detect it, breast tumors and breast cancer up to 4 years before doctors could detect it. And so I think it will change the way we live. It'll change the healthcare, and if we use it correctly, it could improve the quality of life.
Ultimately, it's imperative we follow and stay up to date with AI development as the worlds of science fiction increasingly become our modern reality.
Wow, artificial intelligences sure are developing crazy fast. Eric, do you think that AI will cause more issues than it solves?
It really depends on how these AI are moderated. We've already seen, like we saw in that video, AI government algorithm programs cause people to lose Medicaid coverage, and we've already seen scams appear with voice replicating technology. So it really depends on how policies are made to regulate these AI and to ensure they do more good than harm.
And what jobs do you think are most at risk with modern AI?
Probably more lower-end jobs. We recently heard about how Wendy's and McDonald's chains of restaurants have introduced AI servers and other cashiers. So those kind of lower jobs might be gone within the near future. But probably more other rudimentary writing jobs will probably be taken over as well, like public relations, as long as people aren't writing not so politically. But ultimately, nothing will trump the creativity of the human mind.
All right, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Eric. While AI can be detrimental to society and the environment, AI has some positives. Award-winning filmmaker and digital creator Tomas Koeck uses AI to bring audiences closer to nature. Welcome, Tomas.
Hey there, David. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. Happy to be here.
All right. So, Tomas, can you tell us about your project?
So we're doing a documentary called Flyway of Life. It's examining a migration path called the Atlantic Flyway, which, to those that don't know, is a path that goes from Argentina, arcs through the east coast of the United States, and goes up to Canada and as far out as Alaska as it arcs up in the north. So it's an amazing premise that we're covering, and we're trying to showcase the important ecological relationships that occur along its path.
All right. And who are you working with?
So we've got a lot of great partners on this project. Canon USA is one of our partners. They're offering some of their breakthrough camera gear, a lot of which features AI within it. Koeck is our clothing sponsor. Sacred Heart University is our main financial backer and our sponsor. And the National Audubon Society is one of our organizations that we're associated with. And in addition to that, we've partnered with about more than a dozen nonprofits that all are environmental. Many are national, some are regional, and there's a couple local in there, but all which are offering their scientists and showcasing their research that they're doing along this Atlantic Flyway.
My goodness, sounds like a really big project. So how are you using AI for this project?
So what's really interesting with camera nowadays is that for example, this is the Canon R3. It utilizes autofocus that has never really been seen before. So, for example, Canon has developed a system where essentially it uses machine learning to identify what it's looking at. So there's a bit like a little computer in there that Canon's constantly kind of going through and making sense of and trying to utilize it in a way where it can better detect subjects. So, for example, Canon's developed a system where doesn't really pertain to the documentary, but it can detect cars because it knows what a car looks like. It can detect birds and because it knows what a bird looks like. It detects right at the eye. It focuses on the bird's eye. Many of the images I have taken, including the one you see here, was taken with that AI-driven system. And then in addition to that, there's a lot of post-production AI that exists now. So Topaz is a software where they have video AI, they have sharpening AI. You can make images far more higher resolution than what they existed before. You can restore images. So, AI is a very risky front in its whole sense, but there's also a lot of creative outlets that you can go through.
For sure. So where are you in the film's production now?
So right now we're in full field production. Basically, we're hopping all around New England. We're going down to Florida. We're planning trips to Costa Rica, Manitoba, Canada. I'm trying to highlight a lot of the interesting ecological relationships and also showcasing these amazing scientists who work with these birds and animals every day. Birds have an interesting stigma attached that they just kind of fly through areas and that they don't really contribute to environments as much as people think, but there's relationships that exist that are being studied upon that connect birds with sharks and birds with large predators, which is very interesting. So we're trying to cover a lot of these stories, and it's all about getting there first.
All right. And what do you hope to accomplish with this film?
So the term flyway isn't really known among most people, even among environmentalists. Flyway is a term that exists throughout the entire world. There are flyways, those aerial migration paths that exist in other continents. There's, at least 4 other flyways in the United States. There's debates on whether some can be split into 3 or 4, but they all have such an important ecological premise that is so important for our entire world because it connects everything. These flyways are what keep our environments healthy. They pump healthy blood, if you will, being those birds, into all of our environments. And without these flyways, they would cease to exist, at least in a way we know it.
Okay. Well, thank you, Tomas. That was super informative, and I can't wait to see the final project in the future.
Yeah, thank you for having me, David.
Of course. Next, we all know fitness and exercise can lead to a happier, longer life. But what about feeling confident in your body before starting the crash diet? Daryl Perry joined me via Zoom to talk about his nuanced approach to fitness.
Hello, Daryl. Thank you for joining me here live on Future Focus.
Glad to be here, Dave.
All right. So can you tell me about a little bit about who you are and what you do online?
I'm in I have 2 spaces that I kind of play in online. So one is your health and fitness / weight loss space, and the other is the self-confidence space, which they tie in more than what I think a lot of people would think. Most folks think that, okay, if I do what I need to do to lose the weight, then I'm automatically going to feel good about myself. That's not how that works. And that's typically why a lot of times people will lose the weight various times throughout their life and they go kind of up and down with things. So my underlining message is I really want people comfortable in their own skin. So when we're talking about self-confidence, we're talking about health and fitness, it's really an inside out approach. So if you work on the relationship you have going on inside your body, inside your head, then the byproduct is by doing the actions of eating the food and doing the exercise, the weight will take care of itself.
How did you develop this nuanced approach to health and fitness? Because I know people say, you just got to do it. You just got to go in the gym. You just got to, have the discipline. How did you develop the kind of approach?
Yeah, well, so that's actually, I'm glad that you brought that up when people will say, well, you just got to do it. You just got to want it. You got to have discipline and you got to push yourself to do things outside of your comfort zone. You got to do things when you don't want to do them and insert whatever, BS discipline quote you want to there. It really, when I looked at the fitness landscape online, I felt like it was a lot of trainers and coaches talking at people like, you should do this. And why you should do this is it's just good for you. Duh. So for me, I've noticed where companies will market against our insecurities. Fitness industry is big on that. So I kind of just took all that stuff and I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to do things online, I'm going to do things differently.
And then finally, what advice would you give someone who just who is starting out on their fitness journey?
Really work on how you view yourself on the inside, and really look at what everybody else focuses on, which is the number on the scale, what their body looks like, as really kind of the byproduct. Because if you really do kind of connect with who you are as a person, and this takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of awareness, and honestly, it takes help usually from mental health professionals, counselors, and therapists. But if you really get this part right, then what you're dealing with is the real reason that you feel the way that you do about your body. So it's important to exercise. It's important to for quality of life. It's important to do the workouts. It's important to eat the things. But a lot of times, I think what's really going on is how somebody views themselves on the inside and how they've always viewed themselves, and they're just using what sounds good, which is the logic of working out and exercising, as the reasoning. But it's not. It's like a thing where they think they should really buy into it, but underneath it they really don't, because they're really insecure about who they are.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that's really impactful stuff, Daryl. Thank you very much for meeting with me and taking time to do this interview. This has been Future Focus.
Thanks, Dave.
I had a great time chatting with Daryl, and I walked away from our conversation with a different mindset. Next, we all know the phrase reduce, reuse, and recycle, but what about upcycling? That's the process of taking something old and repurposing it into something new. Sophie Camizzi introduced trash sculptor Stephanie Hongo about how she turns trash into treasure. From lions, tigers, and bears, and even dragons, she can create any kind of creature out of plastic forks, some rusted screws, and of course, her trusty spray paint.
Do you know what upcycling is? It's the process of reusing an old object to create a higher quality product that could be anything from clothing, furniture, gardening, and more. However, what about art? Meet Stephanie Hongo, otherwise known for her artist name, Sugar Fox. She's a trash sculptor based in Southington, Connecticut, who upcycles trash into one-of-a-kind works of art.
I'm a trash sculptor, which means basically what it sounds like. I make sculptures out of trash. There's a lot of artists that do this, and everyone has kind of their preferred term for what they use. I like trash sculptor because it sounds so unimpressive and so very kind of gritty and ridiculous. And then to see my work, I think it is the opposite. It's impressive and it's, interesting and all that kind of stuff.
She began freelancing in 2017, but soon realized the amounting cost of art supplies and came to a conclusion. Make art from waste. Trash is in surplus and it's free.
I've been following this artist, Bordalo II, on Instagram. He's a trash artist that's located in Europe. And I remember thinking, I know that I could do some version of this. So that just immediately, the gears started spinning, and I was running around my house just grabbing like purses and straightening irons and all this various stuff that I thought I could put into a sculpture. And I made my first piece, which is a blue, I painted it blue, deer that I named Yondu.
Hongo has since made art her full-time career and has created over 200 sculptures using a variety of discarded materials.
There's a lot of, unwanted toys, Tupperware, various things like that I use in my work. I really like the fact that not only am I keeping all of this stuff from being put into a landfill, but I really love the idea that it's giving something that has served a purpose and is now no longer wanted, is now being given like a new light in a piece of art.
The process to create one of these larger-than-life sculptures may vary from piece to piece, but generally, all follow a similar approach.
Lately, in general, I paint the background first, and then I put the piece on top. With all these, I will take whatever board that I'm going to be working on, and I will paint it, and then I will cover the whole thing in like a brown butcher paper, and then I'll sketch basically what the general shape of the animal is going to be on the paper. And then I'll just go through all of my stuff and I'll just pick out the various pieces that I think will work for whatever I'm working on.
For Hongo, No piece is considered complete until it has its very own given name.
In general, it's something that really appeals to me, just like kind of looking at the way that the piece comes out and then just trying to develop a personality for it. And the name, I think, is a lot of sharing in what I think the personality of the piece is.
While the names and personalities are only one part of Stephanie Hongo's art, her unique ability to give trash a second life is what has earned her the title of trash sculptor, as she continues to upcycle more garbage into beautiful works of art. Sophie Camizzi, Fairfield, Connecticut.
What a unique concept. I need to check out more of her work. My favorite piece was the dragon. Did you know that food waste contributes 8% of total global greenhouse gas emissions, or that in the USA, as much as 40% of food goes to waste? Food Rescue USA, a company in Fairfield, is trying to solve this massive problem. Deepa Kesa spent the day with the team. Stay tuned as she sheds light on this incredible movement and the impact it's making across the...
I'm Jennifer from Food Rescues. We're donating to the Bridgeport shelter. If you have anything to donate, I'd love to take it, guys.
In Connecticut, our waste is either sent out of state to landfills or incinerated locally. When food decomposes, it releases methane, a greenhouse gas that is 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide. On the other hand, burning food waste produces fumes that can contribute to acid rain, both extremely detrimental to the environment. A company in Fairfield is trying to help this massive problem.
Food Rescue US is a national nonprofit on a dual mission to both reduce food insecurity and food waste. So we do that by leveraging a web-based app that helps coordinate volunteers in an effort to rescue surplus food from businesses that would otherwise throw it away. And instead, those volunteers in their personal vehicles take that food and deliver it to a nearby social service agency.
Enjoy. I'll go unload this in my car.
The volunteers range between 40 to 60 pickups per day.
We average about 320 rescues a week. We have volunteers who do 5 rescues a day, and we have volunteers who do 1 rescue a month. And we greatly value that range of volunteerism because we need all of it to be able to complete our rescue and the commitments that we've made to these businesses and social service agencies.
Jennifer Seidemann has been a volunteer for Food Rescue US for 3 years.
I volunteer from the Westport Farmers Market every Thursday, and at the end of the market I go around with some other volunteers and we ask the farmers if they have any donations of things that are going to go bad, that didn't sell, or if they just, out of the kindness of their hearts, they want to donate.
Thank you for your donations. I'll see you next week.
Okay, we'll see you next week.
When we rescue from the farmers markets, it's kind of like doing 10 rescues in one because there are many different vendors. It's the most efficient place for us to go to maximize our impact.
Today we got lots of lettuces and some fresh breads and even some prepared foods, some pastries and soups. We'll bring it to the pantry called Bridgeport, which is at this community church in Bridgeport. They're so appreciative of anything and everything we bring them.
My name is Ada Rivera, and I'm the outreach coordinator here for the pantry, the 27 pantry. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week it's open, so anybody can come at any time. If they're hungry, anybody can come donate or anybody can pick up. It's all free to the community. You know, whatever people need is out there, help themselves. If you cook extra and you have extra, you can put it in to-go containers and put it in the fridge.
Hi, girl.
Most of our food comes from Food Rescue. Whatever they don't sell, they'll send to us, but it keeps so much food out of the landfills. This has been such a great thing. Thousands and thousands of pounds of food are saved every month, and it goes to good homes.
Food Rescue US Fairfield County works with over 160 social service agencies and has more than 3,000 rescuers, all joined by one app.
So everything we do really revolves around our app. Our ethos, our core is that we may do food recovery, but our story is building community. And that's something that we see technology complements, but could not do itself.
Companies like these are paving the way for a better planet Earth. However, everyone can play a small part if they just focused on the future. This is Deepa Kesa, Fairfield, Connecticut.
Thanks, Deepa. I had no idea about this company. I really loved following your day. Next, Dr. Jennifer Mattei was a remarkable scientist and educator at Sacred Heart University. Shoba Dasari's story is a tribute to honor Dr. Mattei and her impact on the greater Long Island community. Project Limulus, which studies the Long Island Sound horseshoe crab population, was her passion project and will forever remain her legacy.
Do you know that horseshoe crabs are not true crabs but closely related to spiders, ticks, and scorpions? Dr. Jennifer Mattei, a well-known biology professor at Sacred Heart University, with a career spanning over 28 years, made a significant contributions in the field of ecology and conservation. She started her journey as a postdoctoral associate at Rutgers University before joining Sacred Heart in 1995. Her passion for the environment drove her to study forest science at Yale and earn a PhD in ecology and evolution from Stony Brook University.
I first met Dr. Mattei a few years ago when I was working under her at Stratford Point on a coastal restoration project she was helping spearhead. She first inspired me to really be interested in coastal restoration and habitat construction and how that can be a viable form of protecting our ecosystems.
Dr. Mattei's most remarkable project, Limulus, investigated the Long Island Sound American horseshoe crab. Worried about the declining population, she started this project with a team of scientists and students tagging over 98,000 crabs. She was also a member of the IUCN Species Survival Commission Horseshoe Crab Specialist Group.
So Project Limulus was started in 1998 and is a large-scale research effort related to horseshoe crabs in Long Island Sound. Primarily, the research goals are to monitor the population of crabs that come up to the beaches every May and June to spawn. We tag them as part of a large mark recapture study to try to see their movement patterns, learn things about their sex ratio, and other aspects of their population dynamics. We also have a strong outreach and education component where every year we have over a dozen events where either we go to schools join us at the beach, or just general public type events where anyone can join to help participate in citizen science. So they help us tag the crabs, measure them, and also we educate them about the importance of horseshoe crabs, their connection to human health, and the Long Island Sound ecosystem.
Dr. Mattei was a fabulous educator, mentor, and scientist. Working under her in Project Limulus, it was really an amazing experience to get to take part in horseshoe crab education events and see how much she appreciated learning about horseshoe crabs, but also how much she appreciated teaching everyone else about them. They're really underappreciated species, and I think she really affected so many people around the world by teaching them about why we should value horseshoe crabs and why they're important to us.
Apart from her research, Dr. Mattei actively mentored and involved her students in her project, which led them to various presentations of research conferences and multiple awards.
Dr. Mattei was a really good educator, amazing person to work under. She was really fair, really intelligent, and she was just an amazing mentor as well. I frequently reached out to her for many years after I stopped working with her to ask for advice or just kind of give her life updates, and she's always super supportive of me and my own academic trajectory, which was really cool to see.
Jennifer was a wonderful mentor and friend. She was always there to provide advice, whether that was about teaching or research, and she is deeply missed.
What an inspiration and a beautiful video that highlights these amazing creatures. Hello, Shoba.
Hi, David.
So, how do you think Jennifer Mattei's legacy will be continued, and how did this project make differences by conserving horseshoe crabs?
The decline in the horseshoe crab population directly impacted the eastern red knot population too, and it also affects the shoreline. So by conserving horseshoe crabs, it's not conserving horseshoe crab, but it directly impacts nature in many other positive ways.
Okay. And what were the outcomes of Project Limulus?
In Project Limulus, they try to they tag the horseshoe crabs and try to recapture them. After recapturing, they examine the sex ratio of the horseshoe crabs of the adult male and female population, and also they try to examine whether the population is increasing or decreasing every year within the Long Island Sound.
Okay. All right. And thank you so much, Shoba.
Thank you, David.
Of course. Her passion and drive truly inspiring for everyone in the shoe community. I want to thank you all for watching our program tonight. We hope that you found each segment inspiring and use that inspiration to make a difference in our world. I'd like to thank the Shoe Media Exchange and Sacred Heart University. My name is David Tauscher, and this has been Future Focus. Good night.
Thank you all for joining us here live in the studio. Let's hear it for these amazing stories and these amazing students. They're all actually on the way in, and they should be up here right now. So we're going to do a little Q&A.
Thanks. Should I move? I'm going to move. Okay.
This is Eric and Sophie and Shoba and Deepa and David and Tomas. And we wanted to give you an opportunity to throw out some questions, and they'll pick up on who's going to respond. So by all means, let's throw some their way.
What's the, you guys got to go to different types of shoots. Some people you're probably almost, your feet are in the water or you're in the basement of an artist's home. What was the kind of oddest, unique place you shot one of your features?
Oh, okay. So the place I was shooting at, I was the one who shot the trash sculptor. She actually decided to paint her ceiling black, and if you know anything about filming, black absorbs a lot of the light. So I was just using one lamp, and that's about it. So we just had to make do. And you know what? No one knows except for now, so don't tell anyone.
How did you, so we learned about coming up with the theme, but how did you all come up with the topics that you studied specifically?
So each of us kind of had our own individual interests. Tomas is, really is involved in nature. I kind of occupy the health and fitness space, at least online a little bit. Eric loves technology. Sophie is very creative. So we all, kind of, we all kind of pitched our own ideas, and we kind of really let the creativity flow.
So did the theme come after your segments, or did the theme come before your segments?
Before.
Yeah, before.
We thought since, AI is this very kind of electronic machine sort of vibe in its sense, and a good way to kind of counteract that and make it like this kind of very pretty yin and yang sort of way to tell the story is to incorporate that nature side of things. So my piece is kind of interesting because it combines the two. Sophie's piece is really interesting because it's a literal combination of the two with, artistry and a lot of those subjects being something with nature, meeting kind of like a green sort of subject matter because it's like recycling and like so on and so on. So we kind of had like a really cool spectrum of like different ways AI and the like human identity impacts the natural world today.
So I love the show titled Future Focus. I know it was mentioned a little bit earlier, the process behind that, but in general, what was the brainstorming session like coming up with a name for the show, especially with all these like topics you guys discussed, and like can you tell us like what really nailed the
Yeah. It was kind of funny because like we like thought of like maybe we should have a title that AI came up with because AI is at that level where like you can say write me an essay on George Washington and like it'll ask how many paragraphs, you know what I mean? It's like insane. So we played around with that a little bit, and I think it was Eric that coined the focus part, and then Golda loves that kind of like looking toward the future sort of thing, so that's where we like mashed up those two words and it just kind of worked. So, it probably lasted around like 20 minutes. So we like put in a good amount of time figuring out the title, but that was one of the first things that we kind of figured out.
Adding on to that, with the AI-generated ideas, how about the pictures? Because I noticed this future-focused background looks to be AI-generated.
Yeah.
How can you tell?
Some of them, I would say, like some of them in the pamphlet are AI generated. You can probably tell which ones are. But it was just
getting harder and harder, though.
Yeah, it is getting harder.
Yeah.
There's already been art that's been thought to be human-made, but has won awards, but was actually AI created. So it's getting very tricky to determine what's real or what's human-made and what's AI-made. But in terms of like what we made, we thought making the logo AI made would kind of go with our theme, but we just kind of didn't want everything to be AI focused, so it's kind of like half and half.
I got one more. Could we bring trash from the studios here up to the trash artist, have her make us something and put it up in the building?
Oh man, I wish, but she stopped taking her friends and family's donations because they just kept on dropping trash at her house, and she just had to be like, guys, you gotta stop. You're just giving me like deflated basketballs and I just don't know what to do with them.
And for future focus, future student groups, what advice would you give future students to continue this?
Definitely being aware of what's happening around your local area and the world, because I had no idea what was going on with the AI development until Professor Golda introduced it to us. And now it's changing so rapidly. Like in the beginning of the year, there weren't really AI that could write up whole essays or even create human art. And now we're getting AI employees at Wendy's all of a sudden. So it's kind of crazy how everything transforms our reality, I guess you can think of it like that. But yeah, just be aware of what's happening in the world, basically.
I would say whatever lane you choose, find something that like really excites you and motivates you, and then it doesn't really become work anymore. Like, with my project, I've been working on it for probably around 7 months now, getting everything in order, and now we're shooting it. And a lot of times, it does become a lot of work, especially like the paperwork component, trying to find the funding and all that fun stuff. But I just enjoy it so much, and I believe in the mission it's trying to do, that in the end, it's part of who I am. So if a student is trying to find something that they want to work on, finding a subject that they're really passionate about and like blending it with like a communications aspect, if they're a communications major, is a really easy way to really propel yourself in the industry, because all of a sudden it's not like necessarily work anymore. It's like walking, it's like breathing. And I guess that would be my advice to that person. It's hard to find that subject sometimes. Like everyone expects you should know what you want to do, you should know what you like, and it takes a little bit of searching, but if you put in the work to find it, you'll be surprised in what you might find.
I think my advice would be to be a jack of all trades in the industry that you decide to go into, because with AI, they can almost do everything.
Oh, yeah.
So if you only have one thing to bring to the table that's no longer required or requested, you have to know more than what you are taught.
You have to know how to stand out.
Yes.
You had a question?
How long have you been working on this project?
Future focus, only
yeah.
not long.
Yeah,
This is the 7th week.
7th week.
7 or 8 weeks.
Oh, you guys.
Great. Thank you.
That's 2 months, right? Yeah. Almost 2 months.
Deepa, can you introduce our guest?
Yes. So I have guests from Food Rescue US. This is Jennifer. I spent
Hey.
the day with
Hello.
her.
What's up, guys?
She drove me around everywhere. We had so much fun. Alexa, this is actually the first time that I've met her. I was meant to meet her prior, but it's so nice to have you here. And Haley is who I recorded on the actual day at the food market. So thank you so much for being here.
Ada's here too.
Oh, Ada, I didn't even see you there. Yes, that's Ada. She's from Bridgeport in Bridgeport.
Thanks for doing what you do, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming down.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, let's hear it once more for this wonderful group. And then we need to applaud them for coming and supporting this wonderful.
To you.
Thank you.
And thanks, Paul, for bringing your class. That was a really great thing, and we're going to reward you by taking you all out to the buffet.
Free food.
So thank you very, very much, and we'll see you out in the hall.
Yeah.
Well done. Good job.
Thank you.
Excellent work.
Thank you.